everybody, welcome to my channel. Jeannie here. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to paint some snow on branches, some tips and tricks with oils and an eagle. And this will work for any kind of bird, of course, but you can learn a lot just by learning how to do these branches. So then we're going to go for a little hike, have a little break, and I'm going to show you the real thing out there where the fog rolls in and how the contrasts are and how to observe things. So this will be a fun one. So I hope you stick around and learn something, and let me know in the comments below, and see you soon. Thanks so much for being with me here. As I show you here, I'm going to be using some acrylics to start out my wash. I'm basically going to be drawing with my paintbrush and some water and some orange and yellow acrylic that I've mixed. So you just keep rubbing that through, and you can use a paper towel. And I'm creating some different values here. And I like to do it this way because it gives me an overall picture of what I'm trying to create with the paintbrush and some acrylic rather than a pencil. So I just keep going back and forth and adding a little water, pinching off my brush, wiping off the excess that I don't want on there with paper towel. Just keep rubbing it in. I'm using just a larger angle brush. And if you want to keep tabs on me, you can go to my newsletter, and I will be creating some DVDs in real time if you want to keep watching and learning from me. But I really appreciate you being here. So now I'm going to start with the oils. I'm going to start filling in his head with white, so that, and with my little 1/2-inch rake to start with. I just want to build in that white so that I can add those other colors to the white for shadows. So I want to get that wet with the white paint, and using my rake to rake in those feathers in the direction that they need to go. So let me know if this helps you. I hope it helps you. I'll try to keep explaining this as best I can. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit of that ultramarine blue, and I'm using my little 1/8-inch rake now to bring in some shadows, because the light is coming from the back side of his left-hand side of his head, where the light is in that upper left-hand corner of the painting. That's where my light source is. So this part of the head will be shadowed with some ultramarine blue, catching the colors of the sky. I might add a little crimson in there now to give it a little more lavender appeal. Makes it interesting. Now I'm careful not to touch that yellow, because I don't want it to turn green, because blue and yellow will make green. So I'm going to stick with my ultramarine blue and my crimson, now and then touching into the orange as I go down his body. But for starters, I will keep with the crimson. Now this can work with any bird, and in a few minutes I'm going to be showing you how I do the branches, like I explained in the beginning. But I'm going to keep filling this in with the white first, and bringing in that shadow underneath where the feathers start to turn dark, keeping that head nice and thick with white highlight on the back of his head. Now I'm using my liner brush. I'm going to bring in that yellow on the bottom part of the eye. Now this applies to any eye you're doing. You're going to put that lighter part of the color on the bottom part of the eye, and that top part of the eye will be a little bit more shadowed. So I'm bringing in a little orange on the top, because this is an eagle and he has a yellow eye. So now I'm going to keep bringing in that eyeliner. It's kind of like putting on makeup for you ladies out there. Put some eyeliner on, get the pupil in there, and I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to round out that eye. This is a tiny canvas, so I like to do these little ones because I can knock them out pretty quick for these free videos, and I have to time lapse them a little bit because for time's sake, just to give you some idea of how to do this. You can watch it first, and that will help. Now I'm going to bring in a little bit of yellow as I come into the beak, and a little bit of orange, and coming down and chiseling out that beak, keeping the shadow side on the shadow side of the beak, because always remember where your light source is coming from. He has a little hook there. And now I'm going to just keep filling that in with orange, a little bit of crimson. It makes it a gold color, and bringing in those yellow highlights around that nostril. Just shaping that beak. Keep shaping it and shaping it. Later on, I think I show you how to correct that beak because I kind of messed it up a little bit. But these are good videos to watch because I make mistakes too, and you get to watch and see how I fix the mistakes. So if you keep watching, you'll see how I fix mistakes with the oils. They're pretty forgiving, so be sure you follow my newsletter. Go to my website and sign up on my newsletter if you want to learn these real-time paintings like I had mentioned. So now I'm gonna, I think I took a little break there. That's why the painting shifted. I'm gonna grab that blue a little bit more and the crimson, bringing a little more shadow into the feathers. My light changed too, but that's okay. I keep raking that in and shaping those feathers around the eye, and the body will go pretty quick, so you'll see in a minute. And then I'll come in with, and I'll show you how I fix the background, because I had forgotten. I should have put the branches in, but I wanted to kind of get this eagle subject, my subject, in first before I knew where to bring those branches in. But I will be very careful not to touch the oil. Just keep watching how I'm mixing these colors. Now I'm going to start bringing in that crimson and blue, ultramarine blue, because it makes a nice black. I love the M. Graham paints, so a shout out to them. Amazing paints. Least toxic I've found, very brilliant in color. They use walnut oil for their medium. I only have to use soap and water to clean my brushes. Excuse me, and my walnut oil to clean my brushes. So it's pretty cool to have those. I love them. I've used them for years. Now I keep switching back and forth from large brushes to small brushes, and all those were listed at the beginning of the painting so that you know which brushes I'm using. But you can use whatever's comfortable for you. Everybody has a different touch, so I just like to do it this way. It's good to watch, and then you can just create your own way of doing things and learn. That's how I learned. I'm going to get that acrylic. See, I've got the acrylic now, and I'm fixing all the branches, sort of laying out my branches. And I'm going to be, like I say, I'm going to be very careful not to go up and touch that oil, because you don't want to get oil on top of, acrylic on top of oil. So I'm just going to shape and draw and fill in those areas using a little bit of water, wiping off my brush, dipping in that water as I need it. See how I go up to the oils, but I don't touch them, because all that in the background is acrylic. Now I'm going to start drawing. Watch how I twist that brush to shape my branches. It just kind of gives them a unique shape when you twist the brush as you come down. Just kind of sculpting in where I put the branches again. Okay, we're getting ready to go on our break, so let's go have some fun on the trail. So here we are, real time. I thought I'd get you out here on the trail and show you a little bit of from where the inspiration comes from for this painting we're working on right now. So let's get up this hill and check out some branches. These stumps are really cool. On our way up the hill, here they are. So I wanted to show you this real quick. Now that one's growing some moss. Really beautiful. Lots of inspiration everywhere. We're going to go up there. So let's get up there. I really like this tree here. That's a beauty. And look and observe how the fog just settles into the mountain. So beautiful. And check out these branches. This is old dead tree. Well, it's probably partially alive. So cool. So you really watch how contrast. See how this tree is really dark in its shadows up close, and then you look beyond and things, the contrasting shadows just lighten up and fog out. And this is what I'm going to show you in the next step. There's Louis. So I'll spin you around here. So there we are. Real time, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this. So let's just get back to the studio. Give you a little bit of fun beauty to look at. And there you are. There's Louis. And then it gets the contrasts change as they come up close. And then you got your dead leaves here. I gotta watch and see, observe things around you to really get the feel of what you're painting. And it makes a lot of better sense when you really study things. And I hope you enjoyed this next part. Glad you stuck with me this long. I hope you're learning something. Let me know what you'd like to paint next. See ya at the studio. Let's go for a little walk first. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Please leave me a comment. So now we are back to the oils, and I am brushing in some soft white across here. Very little paint across that acrylic back there. Just much like we did with the acrylics with the wash, but this time I'm just using dry paint. This is a dry brushing. Drive-by or dry brushing. Okay, stupid joke. I had to put that in there. Okay, now I'm going to just keep adding yellow to get that golden glow that I love. And keeping that white towards that upper right left-hand corner, as I mentioned before. Kind of bringing like sun ray kind of a stroke coming down in there to soften all those back branches. That creates a contrast. So down in the bottom, I'm adding a little orange just to deepen the contrast down there with the light. Not just adding white as I feel I need. Not too much paint. Just don't put too much paint on your brush. Now, I don't know if I mentioned, I'll put it in the description and on the screen, that this is a larger angle brush. It's like a 1/2 inch, and that helps me just really rub in all that color. Just keep pushing it back and forth, softening it. You could take a paper towel and soften that off as well, like we did with the acrylic. But just creating that contrast. And I'm going to start highlighting the snow first. I like to put the highlights of the snow in first, especially when you're learning. You want to put those highlights on there first with just white, wherever your branches are, wherever you think you want to put your snow. I'm just blending a little bit. I'm back down to a 1/4 inch angle brush. Now I'm just figuring out where I want all my branches while I bring in those highlights of snow on the branches. You want to start with the white always, of course. Okay, now I'm bringing in a little bit of that orange oxide with a little bit of ultramarine blue to softly bring in some of those back branches, and the white that's on the painting will help those colors blend into it. Now I'm bringing a little more color in those forward branches, a little more crimson, orange, and orange oxide, a little ultramarine blue if I want it to be a deeper color. Just adding those colors together makes a nice darker contrast, and it also creates some color in your branches. Excuse me, I have to close my wood stove. It's going to make a loud sound. Here, that's what that sound is. Me closing the door of my wood stove. Trying to get my fire going this morning. Okay, now you always have to remember, wherever your branches are coming from the tree trunk, the branch is going to be a little thicker. And so on the right hand side down here underneath the eagle, I'm bringing the branch in from the right hand side this time, because it could be another tree on the right hand side that's pushing its branches down in there. Now you can create your branches however you want, but this is a good practice. Now notice how I keep twisting the brush, I keep changing brushes. Now I'm bringing in a little bit of ultramarine blue to shadow that snow that I've got on there, and bringing a little crimson right underneath it to get it to shadow right under the snow to create a little contrast there. So just keep playing with your colors, keep loading. I'm constantly loading, and sometimes if I get a little too much paint on my brush, I'll pinch it off on the paper towel. If you've watched some of my other videos, you'll see that I've done that. So now I'm just and I always add a little bit more white. Okay, this is a really cool part. I'm showing where I'm bringing the branch from that distant branch forward across this other branch by adding the snow first. I kind of drew in my line to see where I wanted my branch to be. Now I'm adding the snow like we did before, crossing over this forward branch to bring that branch out of the fog, and as if it was coming in towards you, I'm going to add more deeper, darker contrasting colors, much like we saw when we were on our little hike. So I'm going to shadow underneath that snow, kind of to create a barrier so none of my orange colors mix into that snow. Now I'm going to start adding in those other colors into the branch. Now notice how I soften it as I go back to where it connects to that far off foggy branch. That's how the magic happens, is where it comes out of the fog and into the foreground by mixing those lighter colors and whites into the paint as you go back into the fog, and adding the darker blues and other contrasting colors as you come forward to create this dimensional appearance. Always amazed me how you can create dimension on a flat surface just with color mixing and shadows and highlights. Now I'm making that other branch just sort of softly fade off behind the eagle's head. And I continue on with adding more snow up there, more shadows underneath the snow. I'm sorry I didn't get that top part. It was probably 1/4 inch of the canvas not showing. So I'm going to continue to work on this branch to bring in some details, little nubs and stubs that come off the branch. And you can continue to create your branches however you want. I just didn't want to get it too busy. I don't want to keep those soft tones behind the eagle's head so that he becomes the more focal point. And also some of these branches coming off. And I'm adding a little snow on this little twig, sort of letting it softly go down behind the eagle, keeping those softer tones. Isn't that incredible how you can use shadow and highlight to bring a branch forward out of the fog? And notice how those other branches just stay back there because I'm adding those deeper colored tones to the forward branch. And it's coming off that branch that's in the back there in the fog, which is really cool to me. Okay, now I continue on making more details in my little branch colors. Now I'm going to start bringing in that crimson and ultramarine blue to fill in that eagle. Remember, I don't use black very often, only now and then when I really feel like I need it. But in this painting, I didn't use it at all. I keep using that crimson, the alizarin crimson, and the ultramarine blue to make a darker, rich black, almost black, but it also shines this beautiful bluish tone to it. And also when you add the white, it creates the blue. And now here's the tail. I'm using an angle brush so that I can get some nice chiseled feathers. And I'm really taking my time pulling in those edges of the feathers. Now I'm going to bring in that ultramarine blue. See how it mixes to the paint that's already there and creates kind of a purpley tone because of the alizarin crimson and blue that we originally put in there to fill in the eagle. And I'm letting this branch here fade off into the fog again by just keeping those shadow tones soft. Always shadowing my snow after I put the white in. This is a really good practice for branches and snow on branches. So even if you don't want to paint the eagle, just practice how I'm teaching you here on these branches. That'll really help you in for future paintings. And just keeping those soft tones again. Bringing in those soft shadows. Harsher shadows as it comes underneath the eagle because he's going to create some strong color by his body shadowing the branch. Always remember where your light source is coming from, and that's from the left if you're looking at the painting. Just tweaking and okay, now I'm going to start just kind of chiseling in and fixing all the little smudges in the paint, bringing in just the white on top of those blues. It will create those feathers because of those darker shadow colors that we put. I'm grabbing a little bit of that orange oxide just to bring a little more color because as the sun hits the eagle's back, it sort of brings out the color tones in his feathers, which do have some brown tones to them. Grab a little orange, keeping that light on that upper part of his body where the sun is hitting, more shadows towards the bottom. Now I'm just going to start playing around with where the feathers are and the wings are and correcting all my little smudges. I'm going to just sort of bring some shadow color and shadow highlights for the feathers just to show a little detail there. And we're getting towards the end here. I'm just going to keep playing around and fixing all the little smudges and bringing in more shadow and those little feathers hanging down there. I love the angle brush because you can tip it upwards to create that that nice chiseled effect. Now and then I will pinch my brush through the paper towel so that it keeps the brush nice and flat so I get those good lines, those nice sharp lines. Now I'm going to highlight those feathers just a little bit. Now this part of the bird is really in the shadows, so he's not going to show a lot of detail down here. I might do another painting where we're going to teach the eagle's eye. So let me know if you want to learn that. Let me know in the comments. I'm so happy you've stuck around this long. Just got a couple more minutes here. I know I'm just sort of highlighting the little spots on the head and chiseling in the beak, kind of fixing that beak. Before I had that beak a little bit off, so I just was fixing it a little bit there. I'm constantly going back and forth with my feathers and fixing all the edges, and so happy you've stuck with me this long. So let me know in the comments what you'd love to learn to paint. I love doing these little small paintings for quick tutorials just for free. So in the future, if you want to get onto my website, sign up on my newsletter. I'll let you know when I've got my DVDs out, which I'm planning those out. So they'll be real time, all kinds of different subject matter. Let me know what you would like to see in those DVDs, and if that works for you. So I'm just kind of keep putting that white in there, fixing all the little spots that I didn't like before. That's the beauty of oil. Again, you can go in and fill in spots, and you can let it dry and then get back to it later and fix all your little spots you didn't like with color. Just keep going back and forth and watching this video over and over again. Just want to really thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll just let you enjoy the rest of what I'm doing here. Just keep filling in the little spots, going around and correcting things, little tidbits. You can see I'm back to my little tiny 1/8 inch rake, sort of correcting all my little flubs in his head. That's what I do. I just go over and over things, layering, correcting. So I want to thank you again so much for watching, and be sure and like and share if you love this, and give me a comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again.